Hi, in this video we will going to see entire HTML5 in just one video, and here are the topics we are going to cover in this one. So you can see there are lots of the topics. Firstly, we'll start with HTML hello world page, then page structure, then we'll see some basic tags, then we'll see what are the differences between tags, attributes and elements. Then we will going to see HTML comments, then entity, then how to add CSS style into an HTML page, then how to add JavaScript into an HTML page. Then we will see some formatting tags, then how to create list, images, linkings, then tables, and then we will also see document structure. After that we will see form elements and also the form input types. Then we will going to use the link tag for different purposes, and we will see different applications of the meta tag in HTML5. Then after we will see how to set up audio and video inside HTML page. Then we will going to see HTML embedding, which means how to set up, how to add PDF or any videos, or it includes YouTube videos or Google Maps into your web page, and it also includes entire different website into your own web page. Then we will finally see the global attributes in HTML, and we will wrap this up. So just note that will not be a complete HTML because there are still many things missing, but I have tried to cover most of the things. Now, also one thing, if you need to see the complete course, if you need to watch the complete course, I have already created a complete course on Udemy. You can check this that one also. I will add the link in the description. So let's start. So before starting with HTML5, firstly you need to set up VS Code or any code editor. So for code editor, I have already installed VS Code. You can Google it, Visual Studio Code, and you can go to this website and install the latest version of VS Code. Also, after installing this one, you need to set up few extensions which will be very helpful. So you can, once it's installed, you can click on this extension icon, and here you can install these extensions which are very popular. So Prettier you need to install, then you need to install better comments, then pair colorization, then code spell checker, then we need error lens is also very good one. Then you need to install Indent Rainbow. Image preview is optional, you can install it or not. Then live server is required for you right now. Then material icon theme is also very good. Multiple cursor, case preserve, this will be very helpful to you. Path Intellisense, and this one is not required. Yeah, so these much extensions you will need to install. I will add these details into the description as well. Okay, so let's start with HTML5. So firstly we need to understand what is HTML. HTML stands for hypertext markup language. Hypertext markup language. Now, what is HTML exactly? So HTML is a skeleton of a web page. Suppose you are seeing this web page, but it is created using any coding language which is called markup language, and HTML is one of the language. So HTML is highly used today, and if we right click on this web page and we scroll it down and we click on view page source, then you can see this entire code. Whatever you can see, this is the HTML code of that web page. So this entire page is created using a coding language, or basically markup language, and that language is the HTML. And even if you see here, you can see HTML, and yeah, so that is how HTML is used to create the skeleton of a web page. Think of it like the skeleton of a human body. Okay, so then what are the differences between HTML and HTML5? Now HTML5 is just the latest version of HTML, and there won't be any HTML6 as of now, what we know, because this is an incremental update, and whatever Web3 consortium decides to add any new features in HTML, they will add to HTML5 incrementally, and they won't release HTML6. And same is the case for CSS as well, which you will need to learn after you learn HTML. Okay, so we have seen what HTML is exactly. HTML is a coding language or especially markup language which is used to create the skeleton of a web page. It it is used to create a web page structure, and it contains all the contents of the page. Now we have already seen the introduction of HTML5. Now let's create a simple HTML page. So for that you need to open a folder in VS Code. So I have already created a folder. Okay, let me create a simple demo one. I'm creating a new folder which is named as test folder. Now what I can do, I can right click on it and click on open with code, and this will open VS Code in this folder, in the test folder. Now from here I can create multiple files. If I click on this icon, it will create a new file. So let's say test.html, and here I can write my HTML code. Next we can also create a new folder here by clicking on this icon, and let's say folder. So in this folder you can create another file by, again, firstly you have to click on this folder and again click on this file. It will going to create a new file in that folder only. So let's say index.html, and if you want to create new file, you at the root level you need to click on the root empty space and then you click on this one. So it will create a file at the root level. So this is how we create. And one more thing, for saving a file you simply hit Ctrl S, or in the file manager you can also use save as or save, so that will going to save your file, but we will mostly going to use Control S to save. Also one more thing, if I change this file, notice this, that here the icon, if this file is saved then we will going to see a cross, otherwise we will going to see a bullet. If we save this one, then you can see the bullet is removed and a cross is showing here, so this means the file is saved currently. Okay, so this is how we manage a folder and work in a folder. Now what we will going to do, I come to my previous folder again, and here I have already opened a folder. Here you can see I've created a topics.md. Now what I will do, I will create a normal HTML page. Now for every web page, the first page of a website is always the index.html. So that is the convention. We can create with different name also, but index.html is mostly used. So I have created index.html, and here we need to write a boilerplate code which we need to write in every HTML5 page. If we see this code which was from this web page, you can see that initially it starts with a doc type, then it starts with HTML and then head, and so these are the boilerplate code. You don't need to write everything from scratch. You can simply use a feature of emmet, and that emmet I have also covered in my Udemy course. You can also look at it. So for emmet you can simply hit exclamation and hit the tab button. This will write the dummy boilerplate code for the HTML page, which is always required for any HTML. Let me redo it again. You can simply write exclamation and hit the tab button. Okay, so let's understand what this page is doing. But before that, I am writing a simple message here. Let's say hi there in the body section here, and I save this one, and if I right click on this, I will get an option with open with live server. This option I am getting because of this extension, live server, this extension. So this is the extension which is giving me this feature of running this HTML page with live server. Now if I right click on this one, open with live server, then you can see we have created our first HTML page, and this hi there is flowing there. Now let's change this. Hi there, I am Rituraj. I save this one, and as soon as I save this one, and if I go to Google Chrome, then you can see it's automatically refreshed. Although you can do it too, but it's not required in this case. So let's first understand what this page contents are. So doc type is the declaration here, and this is telling the browser that we are going to use the latest version of HTML, which is HTML5. And HTML5 has lots of more features when compared with predecessors like HTML 4.1 or HTML4. So these days we always prefer HTML5. Now after doc type, you can see we have this HTML, and here also we can see we have HTML. If we click on this arrow, you can see it's minimizes. So it's like the opening bracket and the closing bracket. Here we are opening the HTML content and here we are closing the HTML content. By the way, this lang is not required for now, so let me just remove it for understanding purpose. Now this HTML is a tag, and a tag always written inside the triangular brackets. When a tag is opened, it must be closed, and this entire HTML content is written inside the HTML tag itself. So tag gives the browser instruction that how to show this content. Now different tags has different meaning. For example, HTML tag simply means that the entire page content is an HTML content. Next, inside HTML tag, okay, let me just redo it. Here lang simply means the language. We are giving the instruction to the browser that we are using the language of English, and this en is the ISO word name for the English. So every language has a code, and for English we use en. This is called the ISO code, and that is a standardized language codes for the entire world. Okay, so we have seen doc type, which is used for HTML5, and we have seen HTML tag, which is used to wrap the entire HTML content. Now if we open the head and the body, so firstly let me just keep some extra spaces here. Now head is used to set the property of a web page. So for this web page which we see, whatever property we want to set to this page, this is done through the heading tag, head tag. And body is used to show the content of the page. In this page, this is the body of the page, and this body is usually used to show the content. So in this case, I am showing this message here, which is showing here. But head has multiple benefits. It's not just for setting the title. For example, you can see there is one title tag inside the head, which is used to set the title of the web page, which is showing here, which is document. So here if I change this one, my first HTML page, then you can see the title is also changed. And if I bookmark this page, then you can see the same title is used to create the bookmark here. So this is the use of title. It is used to show the title on the tab, as well as it is used to show the bookmark. Okay, also one more thing, if I search, let's say Yahoo weather. Now in the search engine, you can see there are multiple results I am getting, but this is the title of the page. So this title is also showing in the search engine results. So title tag has three advantages. One is, firstly, it is used to set the tab name, then it is used for the bookmark name, and also it is used for the search engine results title. Yeah, so that was the purpose of title tag. Now meta tag is a very advanced feature, so we will not going to cover it now, but yeah, I will discuss it later. Next, head tag is used to set the properties of a page. There are still a lot more properties which we will going to cover later. And after head, we will, okay, let's see the body tag. So body tag is simply used to set the content of the body, and body simply means whatever you see on this page. This is the content of the page. So firstly, let's understand what are the different things we have to cover inside the body. So mostly you will be working on the body tag itself. Okay, so we have covered the introduction, we have covered hello world page, then we have covered HTML5 page structure. Then let's see what are the basic HTML5 tags. Now we have initially written like this. This is not the correct way of writing. Instead, when we need to write a paragraph, we write it using the p tag. So I cut this one, I write p and hit the tab button. So this p tag will automatically be written, and I just paste this content again. So inside the p tag, whatever we write, it will be shown as a paragraph. Now this is the correct way of writing paragraph. You won't see any differences. but that's the correct way of writing paragraph. Just like paragraph, we have a heading. Suppose we want to give any heading, so we can use h1 tag, and for h1 also I can simply write h1 and hit tab. That's the mnet shortcut. So here let me give one heading, a random heading. Now if I save this one, you can see we are giving a heavy heading and also a paragraph. Now heading can be of different levels, so if I change this to h2, now let me write the same thing. For h2 you can see the size is a bit small. So all these things you can also do it using css, which should be learned after html. Then we have other h variation tags. So one is the h3 tag, and it goes to h6. Now I have written h1 tag, and till from h1 I have completed till h6 tag. If you see this one, our heading gets smaller and smaller, and the last heading is even smaller than the normal p tag. So yeah, that's the purpose of heading. It is used to create hierarchy of sections. So we have covered the heading tag. Let's see the other. We have covered h1 to h6 tag. P tag we have also covered. Now br tag. So the problem with HTML is that if you need to create any extra new lines, suppose I love to create pages in HTML. It's my hobby now. So this will work fine. This will we will get first paragraph here, and after that we will going to see the second paragraph. Now suppose in this paragraph what we want is we want to show this line in one, and this line in the this should be shown in the next line. So if I simply hit enter and save this one, so this will not going to work because HTML ignores the extra white spaces, which means if I add any extra white spaces, it will not going to work. Even in the same line also, for example, I love to create. Here I write multiple spaces. This will not going to shown by HTML. So that's the problem with HTML. It only shows us one white space, and new lines it doesn't show at all. So for new line we have to use a different trick here. For new line we have a br tag, and br tag is used to break a line. Now if I save this one and see the output, you will see that after HTML it's break a line and it's showing in the new line. So that's the purpose of the br tag. Okay, so just like br tag we have one more tag which is hr. It is used to create a line. So if I simply write hr and hit tab, hr tag will be created. And if I save this one, so there will be a line between this paragraph and this paragraph, which you can see here. There is a line between these two paragraphs. This line separator is done through hr tag. So here till now we have covered the heading tags, paragraph tags, br and hr. Br used to break line and hr is to for horizontal rule. Now we will see some of the concepts which are always used inside HTML pages. One is the tag. Now tag, I think you already understand. Tag is a command which is written inside triangular brackets, and this structures the text inside whatever content we give. So the purpose of a tag is to show the content in a specific way. For example, h1 tag shows it in the heading way. Similarly, p tag shows it in the paragraph way, and different tags gives the browser different commands, and yeah, that is it. Now tag you already understand. For every tag we have some attributes. For example, this heading tag, you can see we are giving some extra properties. So this is giving some extra knowledge to the browser, or it's changing the behavior of this tag. So that is the purpose of attributes. It provides some extra properties to a tag, and it can also change the behavior of the tag a little bit. Okay, we will see some more attributes later. Elements is the combination of tag as well as the content. Now h1 is the tag, but if I include h1, then this tag and this the closing h1, then this entire h1 will be an element. Similarly, body is a tag. These are the contents of the body, and finally this is the closing tag. But if I include all these three, then this will be called as body element. So that is the differences between tag, attribute, and elements. Now there are two types of tags, which is container tag and empty tag. So container tags are the one which we need to be closed. For example, here I have open an h1 tag, and here I have closed it. But this type of tags are called container tag. It needs to be closed. But there are some tags which don't require it to be closed. For example, this hr. We have opened this hr tag, but we have not closed this one. Similarly, br tag, we have opened this one and we have not closed this one. So these types of tags which don't require to be closed, these are called empty tags. That is the difference between container tags and empty tags. Container needs to be closed, whereas empty tags don't need to be closed. Similarly, we have two types of elements. One is the block level elements and second is the inline elements. Block elements take the entire line. For example, this heading takes its entire line, and if I write one heading and after that even if I write it to the same line, it will again show us in a different line. So there is a reason, because these elements are block elements and block elements take their own entire line. Similarly, we have some opposite use case also, where sometimes we need inline elements, which means the elements should not take the entire line and only take as many space as it requires. These are called inline elements. Currently, we have not seen any of the inline elements, but we will see after this topic. Okay, so HTML5 comments. Because when you work on an HTML page, you will write a lot more code. It's not just always 25 lines of code. Many times it reaches more than 3000 or 4000 lines of code. In that case, it's very difficult to read by code and understand what it is doing. In that case, we have to write comments, and comments are for readability purpose of the developer only, which means the one who is writing this code. So this is just for readability purpose. For example, I can add a comment here, and comment is started with triangular bracket exclamation dash dash, and it is closed with dash dash and triangular close triangular bracket. Here whatever we write inside this ones, this will be considered as comments. So if I say headings, then this will not going to be shown on the browser side. Here you can't see heading because this is a comment. This is just for the readability purpose of this code, like what exactly is this code doing. Similarly, we can write more comments, and you don't need to write the entire comment tag. You can simply hit control and slash. This will create a comment, and if you again hit control and slash, that comment will be removed. So here I can simply write p tags, because this is our p tags. So comments are for readability purpose, and there is one more application of comments. Sometimes you want to hide this code. You don't want to remove the entire code, but you also don't want to show these things for temporarily. In that case, what you can do, you can simply cut the code and save this and see the result and do undo again. But this is not the correct way. This is not a good way, because you may copy something else and ultimately remove be lost. These data will be lost. So the better way would be to use select all these things and hit control slash. This all will be in comments. So this is another way of hiding the code, and you can see the output as per your needs, and later when you want this code, you can select it and again hit control slash. So that will again uncomment the things. So there are two uses of comments. One is for readability purpose of any specific code section. Second is to make the few code sections as comments, so that it won't be visible on the output, on the Chrome output. Okay, so we have also covered the comments. Now let's see HTML entity. So HTML entity are the special characters which requires special way of writing. For example, suppose if I need to write a p tag where I need to show hi, a p tag starts with p. Now what we want here is that we want our output to show this entire as a text, but this should also include this p tag. But this will not going to happen because it will going to show you only this much and not this section. So if you see this hi a p tag, let me remove this hi, p tag starts with, and this one is not visible. So there is a reason, because this is a special tag, which means that it has to start a paragraph from here. So browse it signals the browser that you need to start a new paragraph and close this paragraph, and inside it there is nothing. So the browser is confused. It's not able to understand that the browser needs to show this content. In order for the browser to understand that we want to show this as it is, and same for this one also. So we have to use a special character. This one is a special character and this one is a special character. For this one we have to use HTML entities, and in HTML entities different characters have different way to write. For example, this less than bracket, we can write it using ampersand, lt and semicolon. Now if I run this one, you will see that our tags is working fine. Similarly, let me remove this one. So this lt, ampersand and lt is used to show the triangular bracket here. It is for less than triangular bracket, and if we want greater than, we can write ampersand gt, and it will signal the browser that it needs to show greater than triangle. So now it's showing the correct way, the p tag. Now this is not just about less than and greater than symbol, there are lots of things. So if you want to show ampersand, you can use, okay, let me use it here. If you want to show ampersand, you need to write amp, and that will going to write ampersand. Similarly, we have quote, which is used to write a double quote. Then we have apos, which is used to write single quotes. Okay, then we have copy, which is used to write copyright symbol. Here you can see. Okay, and also one more, which is space. Sometimes we need to write extra spaces. Like previously I showed you one example. Suppose here we need lots of spaces, but this will not going to work. It will show the same way. So the solution to this problem is that we use HTML entity and for space character, and which is ampersand mbst semicolon. So this will show a single space. Now if we want multiple spaces, we need to copy this to multiple times. And if I save this one, now you can see we have lots of spaces here. So this is how you write extra spaces in HTML. Okay, so we have covered the HTML entities as well, and there are lots of HTML entity. You can simply Google it, HTML entity reference, and Wikipedia is a very good example. If we scroll it, you can see there are lots of, for example, comma. For comma also we have comma. For plus, although you can write plus and comma normally also, but for every character we have its HTML entity. So in this page you will find lots of examples, and if you scroll it, there are lots of tons of symbols actually which is supported here. So this is the complete reference. Okay, let's move to our next topic, which is HTML style. So HTML style is a way to add styles. For example, inside the head tag we can write style tag, and here we will going to write CSS. Now first thing you may notice is that what is CSS exactly. So CSS is a language. It's not exactly markup language or programming language. It's a style sheet language where we write styles for these tags, which means how these tags should look. So if you assume HTML to be the skeleton of human, then think of CSS as the outer look of the human, how beauty is the human have. So it beautifies the thing. Inside the style tag, we write CSS and not the HTML. And CSS has different way of writing. For example, if I say all the p tags should have color red, then if we see the output, you can see all our p tags have color red. We can adjust it accordingly. We can write more properties. For example, background color should be light red, and we also want to set border, which is 2 pixel solid black, and also let's add padding 20 pixel. So you can see all the p's are looking good now, and for border we can set it to red. So this is how CSS works. It makes the things look amazing, and this is done through the style tag. Now there is other way of adding CSS into your page, but this style tag is one of the example. Okay, so just like CSS, we can also add JavaScript into our page. So JavaScript, if you want to add JavaScript, you need to write at the bottom of the page using this script tag. In this script tag, we don't write HTML, neither we write CSS. Here we write the JavaScript codes. And one simple example of JavaScript would be simple alert. Let's say hi there. If I save this one and go to my Chrome, you can see firstly I can see a alert which is hi there. And if I click on it, then the page loads. So this is how we can add JavaScript codes into HTML. So we have covered HTML style as well as the HTML script. Now we will going to cover HTML formatting tags. And in formatting tags we have lots of things to cover. So what I am going to do, I will first copy this one and this one too. Comment this one. Okay, and now what I will do, I will create a section for formatting tags. Inside h2 I will write formatting tags, and after that we have to cover the following topics, which are these ones. Okay, so let's start with our b tag. Suppose we want to add a note, and inside this note, just read it. Now if you see this one, note is looking good, but this should be bold. This note part should be bold. So what we can do, we can simply cut this text and we can write b tag and paste it inside this b tag. And if we save this one, we will see our note text is now bold. Also let me add some margin here. Okay, so this is using this b tag, and whatever text comes inside the b tag, that will be bold. Now there is one more way of writing the bold text, so let me just try it like this. This is bold. So this bold text will actually be bold this time. Same, we can do the same thing using this strong tag. So whatever text comes inside the strong tag, that will also be bold. This is also bold. Yeah. So strong tags and b tag have the same do the same thing, but on screen readers devices it reads differently. When we read it through screen readers, this will read as normal text, whereas this will be giving some extra efforts on reading the bold because this is written inside the strong tag. Okay, let's do the same thing for I, and I basically means italic. This time instead of B I will write I tag, and here I will write italic. Same for this strong, I can do EM, and this will also make it italic. So whatever text comes under the I tag or the EM tag, that will be italic. If I run this one, you can see this is italic, this is also italic. Now this is read especially in a different way in screen readers, and this is just for the styling, and it won't affect any screen reader devices. So let's copy this one more time, and here we will going to use U tag, and U means underlined. Instead of U we can also use ins, and both of these do the same thing. It will make the text underline. Okay, but this we should ignore, because we should use underline only when it is a link, which we will see later. Now this ins is read differently using by screen reader devices. Just like bold, italic, underline, we have S, which is the deleted text. So it will be crossed from the middle. This is deleted, this is also deleted, and using S or using del, you can achieve the same thing. So you can see both of these text are deleted. This is used in cases like where we want to show discounts with the previous price cutoff and the new price. So in those cases it can be used. Okay, then we have superscript and subscript. Superscript is used to write the text in superscript, as the name suggests. For example, if I say a square plus b square equals a plus b whole square, a plus b whole square equals a square plus b square plus 2ab. Now if we save this one, you will see this is showing as a normal text. So these two and these two should be written in square format. So solution here is to cut this one and write it under the sup tag. Sup means superscript, and paste this one. So you can see this 2 is now looking good. So this is written in superscript. Same we have to do for a square and b square also. So I can simply copy this one and replace these 2 with the superscript 2, and here also replace these 2 with the superscript 2. So now it will show the formula in correct way. Just like superscript, we also have subscript. For example, we want to say like we want to simply write CO2. Now carbon dioxide, here the 2 should be written in subscript. So for that we can cut this one, we can write sub, which means subscript, and here we can write 2. If we save this one, this 2 will be written as subscript. Now let me remove some extra space here. Perfect. So this is what how to use superscript and subscript, and we are left with 2 more, which is pre and block quote. So pre tag is used to write codes. Let's say if I write, okay, let me write a simple code. Okay, so let me write a simple CSS code like this. If I write it directly and if we see it, then all the things are written in a single line, which is not looking good. Even if I write it under the p tag, that will also not going to work, because you know HTML removes the extra spaces, and this is how it looks. So if you don't want this behavior, instead of pre tag we can p tag, we can use pre tag, and when we write all these things under the pre tag, it will preserve all the white spaces, all the extra new lines and white spaces. Now if we see this, you will see that it is looking good, and it also has converted it in the code font. So every font character has a same length. So this is what it's looking like, and if we want any extra space to be removed here, we have to remove the indentation. Okay, now extra space is removed. So let me write it the same way as it was previously. Okay, so pre is used for coding languages, writing any, showing any codes. Now we are left with one more, which is blockquote. And blockquote, whenever we write anything inside the blockquote, here we will see, let's say, your future is decided, your present. So whatever you say, it will be indented a bit, and this is how it looks. Whenever you put something in blockquote, what if I simply put it under the p tag instead of blockquote? Then you can see the indentation is not there, but if you write the same thing in blockquote, it will be indented by default. Just make sure that all these styles, whatever you see here, all these can be changed using CSS. Okay, so we have covered the blockquote tag also, and this HTML5 formatting tags is complete. Now let's look at how to create a list in HTML. So there are three types of list in HTML. One is the unordered list, then we have ordered list, and finally we have definition list. Okay, let me start with the unordered list. For unordered list, we simply create UL tag, and inside this UL tag, we create li tag. Now, inside this li tag, we can write our list items. For example, apple, mango, orange. If we save this and refresh, you can see we have an unordered list. In unordered list, we have bullets, whereas we have a different type of list also, which is li, which is ol list. So if we use ol tag instead of ul, and we write the same contents inside the ol, then this time we will going to get the order list, which will start from numbers. And if we want, we can change this. If we set a in type, then this list will start from ABCD. Similarly, we can set small a for small ABCD, and we can set I for capital Roman numbers, and we can also set small I for small Roman numbers. And this is what this property which you see here, this is the attribute. So this is the first attribute which we have seen, and previously we have seen this on HTML tag only here. Okay, then here as you can see, this OL tag, the ordered list, its behavior is changed by using this attribute. So that's the purpose of attribute. It is used to change the behavior of any tag. Okay, then we are left with the definition list, and in definition list we can use DL tag. Now instead of li, we have two term here, which is definition term. Let's say apple, let's say HTML, and we have definition description DD. So first one is the term and second is the definition for that term. So let's say hypertext markup language. If I save this one, you can see we have one definition. Now I can set random words. For example, any text, and in the description I can write Lauren. So that's a shortcut of Emmet that provides lots of dummy Spanish text, and we get another definition. So this is how we write list items in definition list. Now there are three types of list, as you can already see, which is first one is the unordered list, then we have ordered list, and finally we have the definition list. There are different variations of this list which I have not covered here, but you can check out my YouTube course. There I have covered the list items in very deep. Okay, so we have completed this list. Now let's jump to HTML images. Now in HTML images, as the name suggests, we can apply images, we can add any images here. I have already added one image in, okay, wait, let me add some image here. So on the desktop, I have already created an assets folder. Let me just move it to here. And inside the assets folder, you can see we have some assets. Actually, I need images, which is present in this images folder. So that I'm moving into assets folder. Okay, so now in this assets folder, we have some images in the images folder. And here you can see we have different types of images. So let's add this image nature large.jpg into our HTML page. That we can do using img tag. And in the okay, see one thing that if I write img and hit tab, then Emmet added two new attributes. One is the src and second is the alt. Src is the source of the image. Here we need to add the file path. So from this path, which is the current folder, which means dot, that dot means the current folder. Now from this path, we want to go inside the assets. So I write dot slash assets, and I have already added an extension called path Intellisense. This extension is giving me hints. When I hit slash, it's giving me assets because current folder has assets. If I click on the assets, now inside assets, you can see we have images. So let's write slash again, and there we can see we have images. Inside images, we are giving an option. So I'm going to write this nature large.jpg because this is the image which we want to use. Okay, so we have the image source. Now we also need to add an alternative text for that image. This text is used when this image is not able to load. Currently this nature is an nature image. This image is about the nature. So this is what happens when this text will be shown when this image is not able to load somehow. If I refresh this page, you can see our image is big, so that is why it's taking very lot space. Now I can rewrite this address by mistake and make some mistake here. For example, gpgr. Now this is an incorrect path, so that won't be able to show the image. In this case, we will going to see the nature, which is the alt attribute. So that's the purpose of alt attribute. And also one more thing, you can see our image is very large, so that we can adjust its width and height using width and height attribute. If I set width equal to 800, then height will be adjusted accordingly. But let's say if we want to set both as 400, that we can also do. We can set height as well. So you can see in this case the image is stretched. Okay, so in most cases we either write width or height, but not both, and that automatically scales the other. So that looks much better now. Okay, so we have covered image tag. Now one more thing. After, let's say if I write image and here I write hi there. Now notice one thing, that hi there is written just after the image tag. This is because image is an inline tag, so it don't take the entire line. Similarly, normal text is also acting as an inline, it don't take the entire line. But if I write this image tag inside the p tag, and then try to write the same text after the p tag, then it will not going to work. Hi there will be in the different line. This is because p tag is a block level element and it takes the entire line, and image is an inline element, so that only takes as much as space which it actually needs, and not the entire line. So this is why most of the cases, if you want image to be shown on the entire line and take the entire line, in that case we wrap the image inside any block level element, for example p tag. There are other block level elements as well, but most of the time we use p only. Okay, so we have covered the image, and here we have seen width, height and alt. Now suppose you want to give any caption to this image, so that let's try to add any caption. let's say for this P I want to add a caption, and this is done using span tag. We will, okay, let me just write simple way. So my nature, if I save this, you can see this is looking like this. But even if I write in new paragraph, so that is not actually very closely aligned with the image. So this is because have we have a different tag that we can use to add caption for the image, and this is the combination of figure and fig caption. So let's rewrite this entire code using figure and fig caption. So firstly we write the image tag, and then we write the fig caption, and here we can provide the caption for this image, and this is my nature. Now this will closely align the text with the image, so that you can see now they are aligned. And using CSS you can also adjust more details, like you can put this into the center, but this is not our main focus right now. Our main focus is currently only the HTML. Next we will going to see the linking of HTML. This is also very important topic. So linking is used to create link to any page. Suppose if I create a new page here, and let's name this page as link.html. Here I am going to create a new HTML page with simple. This is link page, and here I am going to add simple. This is a, okay, let me remove this p tag. So what we want in this index page, what we want, that we want a link. So if I click here to go to link page, now we want to create a link. When I click on this entire text, it should visit the link.html page, and that is done through HTML linking. So this entire text inside the P, we just cut it and we create a tag which is called anchor tag. Inside anchor tag you can see Emmet has already added an attribute which is href. Now ignore the href attribute for now and just paste the text inside the a tag. Okay, so what we have done, we have cut the entire text and paste it inside the a tag. Now if we see, we will get a link. So this is showing us like a link. Now if we click on it, it will just refresh this page and nothing else. So what we want, if we click on this page, then we want to open the link page, link.html page, which is in the same folder. So that we can do using href attribute. So in href we simply write dot slash. It means the current folder. Inside the current folder we want to use link.html. So when we click on this text, it will open this page, link.html, which is located in the current folder. That is why I have added dot slash. Now if I click on this, you will see we have visited to our link page that I just created. Now what we want, here also we want to add a link. By clicking on this link, it should again point us to the index.html page. So that is again very easy. Simply write home, and this home we can write inside a tag. Now what we want, clicking on this home should point us to the home page, which is index.html. So here we can write dot slash index.html. So we want to open the same index page, which is our home page. Now if I click on this, we will redirect back to the home page, and if I click on this again, it will again point us to the link page, so that we can follow the links multiple times. Okay, that linking basic things is covered. Now we have three types of links. One is the section link, then we have internal link, and other is the external link. Internal link is actually the local link. Okay, so the link which you saw there, link.html, is linked to a different file in our same local hardware. So this is called local linking. Then we have an external linking as well. Suppose we want to open a different website. Let's say click here to open google.com. Now what we want is that when I click on google.com, then it should open actually google.com. So that is very easy. We can cut this text and put this under the a tag, and inside the href we write the complete address of google.com. So that is very easy. I write http www.google.com. Now if I click on this google.com link, it will point us to this google.com domain. So clicking on it will open google.com, and this is called external link. Nothing else. There is not much difference between the local linking and the external linking. So local link means it links to the same any web page in in the same website. But external link means a link which points to a different website. Also, one more thing, there is a third type of link as well, that is called section linking. In section linking, what we want is that in the same page we want to open different sections by clicking on it. For example, here we want a link, and clicking on this should open the top section, which is random heading. So that for that we can do one simple thing. Okay, so firstly let me add one go to top, and I will put this under the a tag, and here I will write the go to top. Now on the top, firstly you need to decide which section do you want to link to. I want my link to open to scroll it to this place, to this heading tag. So for this heading we need to give the id. Let's say top, we can give any id, and in the link which we want the href you can write has and top. So these are the two things you need to do. Firstly you need to define the id where your link should point to, and finally you can keep that same id inside href. So this link must starts with a hash, and clicking on this link will open, it won't open actually a new website, it will just scroll to the top. So if I click on this go to top, you will see that it's just a scroll to the top and nothing else. Again if I click on this, it scrolls to the top. So that is called section linking. Section linking is the linking between the same page. And finally we will going to see email link. Many times it requires that we want to open email address when we click on a link. So that is very easy to do. In the a tag you can keep anything. For example, here we can add email at gmail.com. Now if I click on this link, it should not point to a new web page. Instead it should open email, for example gmail.com application or any email application where where the email should already be written. For example, clicking on this should point to riturasakti@gmail.com. So in this case we can write mail to colon, and then we write the email address, which is this in this case. Now if I refresh this or scroll to the bottom, you can see if I click on this link, it will not going to open a new web page. Instead it will open the email application, and here also in the two you can see this is already filled my email, and we just need to write subject and the body. So this is what email link do. You need to write mail to colon and then finally the email address of the sender of the sender, so that it will be already filled. Now there are other types of links as well, but I have not covered in this course in this because we can't cover everything here. There are other links such as telephone links, and those are covered in my Udemy course. Again you can check that. Okay, so HTML table. Now table, as the name suggests, we can create tables using that. So let's create one simple table. Okay, so for table you can use the table tag, and inside table let's say we want to create a table where we want to so table should be like this. Firstly we have the name, then age, and finally we have the gender. And in the first name we can set, let's say, Raj, and age, let's say 28, gender male. For here we can do Alice, age 20, gender female. Now we want to create this table, so for that what we can do here, we can create a table tag. Now this table creates a structure for the table just like the list. Now inside this table we want to open tr tag. 3tr is required in this case because we want to create 3 rows, one for the first line, second for this line, and third for this line. Each tr belongs to a single row. Now inside this tr, inside the first tr, we write, since this is a heading, so we will going to use th. In th we write name. We need one more th for age and one more for the gender. Now we come to our next tr tag, which is this one. Now these are not headings, so here we don't going to use th tag. Instead we are going to use td tag. Th stands for table heading and td stands for table description, and same tr stands for table row. For this td belongs to this cell, so here we write Raj. Then the next td will be age, which is 28, and the next td is the male, so here I write male. Now I can copy this entire tr and replace this one. Here I change the contents. For example, name is Alice, 20, and gender is female. Now if you compare this table, this is how you create tables in HTML. Firstly, for each of the rows we create a tr tag. There are 3 tr because there are 3 rows. For first row, since this is a heading, that is why for every cell I have used th tag. Next, every time we need to use a cell, we have used td because by default th is bold, whereas td is not bold. If I say this one, you can see we have created a simple table. Now let's add some border. In border we can set 2. So this attribute is used to set border, and here you can see we have the border too. Now the reason why it's showing in red is because this attribute is deprecated. Deprecation means that it's not recommended to use anymore. So how do we create border if it's not recommended? So the solution is the CSS here, because we should do these things using CSS and it's not recommended to do these things using attributes. All the styling should be done through CSS, but we are currently focused on HTML only. So this is just for learning purpose. We can also add cell spacing, and cell spacing, as the name suggests, it sets spaces between cells. So I have added 5, so you can see the cells has some extra space, let's say 10. Now you can see cells has some extra spacing of 10 pixels. Similarly, we can set a spacing between the text and the border of the cell. This is done through cell padding. And if I set, let's say, 10, then you can see our text and the cell border also has some spacing now. So these things should be done through CSS only. This is just for learning purpose, that's why I have explained you about these attributes. Okay, there is one more thing. We need to create rowspan and colspan. So in order to create rowspan and colspan, it is required when we need to merge the tables, sometimes table cells. So let's say this example, we have two data. Let's say we have John. Here the age of John is, let's say, 20. Okay. Okay, for John, let's say it's 30 and it's male. Now what we want, instead of these two cells, this male and male, what we want to merge these two rows together, because this one belongs to this row and this male belongs to this row. So for both of these rows, what we want to merge this two cells into one, and we want to write only one male that should cover both this table. So that is very easy to do. Firstly, let me write one simple table. I'm just copying this table, and here I will copy this cell also, because we need one more row for John. So this one is for Raj, this one is for John, and in this one here I set age as 30. Now both of these are male, these are fine. If I run this one, let me just comment this table. Okay, so here you can see this one is also male, this one is also male. What we want to merge these two cells. Note that this cell and this cell belongs to a different row. Okay, so what we want to merge this row, both this row for this cell. So what we will do here is we will write male here, but we also write row span equal to 2. Now what it will do, it will merge the two rows from this column. So this row will be merged with this row, and in this one we don't need to write this td. This entire td will be removed, because this one is already covering the td of this row. So that's why we don't want. Now you can see this is merged. Now some same, let's say we need one more table rule, and here we want the total score. Let's say just a score, and the score should be, let's say, any random score, 800. Now for this one, what we want is that score should cover this one. Actually, let's write total score. So this total score should cover the first column as well as the second column, and then 800 should be at the last. So here we can set colspan equal to 2, because we need to cover two columns this time. And you can see this column and this column are merged now. So this is how we use rowspan and colspan to merge rows and columns. And it's not necessarily 2, you can merge at any levels, 3, 4, 5, however you want. Okay, so that was all about the table tag. We have covered the table, but again there are still many more things in the table which you have not learned yet. Okay, let's go through the document structure now. In if you look at any website, let's say I open MDM web docs. So here you can see we have few things. This top bar is called the header. Similarly, if you go to the bottom, this is called the footer. Here we put the important links. And let me open any random HTML tutorial. Okay, this is better. So this top one is the header. Inside header we have navigation links. Then we have the sidebar. We have another sidebar on the right side. In here we have the main content, and in this main content we have one article, one sections, and multiple sections. And finally we have the footer at the bottom. So all this should be written in a specific tag that is understandable by search engines like Google. So that will help us uh, to keep the search results on top if we search our website on Google. So that is called SEO, which means search engine optimization. And SEO, these tags helps in SEO. So whenever someone search for any keywords which matches with the content in your web page, then there is a higher chance that your web page will be at the top level when we see on search results. So this is done through SEO optimizations, and SEO, these tags will help a lot in SEO. So we just need to use these tags, and these don't play any special role in CSS, because we at the end we need to write our own CSS however we want. But this just serves signal to search engines that this is what type of sections. So for, let's say we want I'm going to create a different page, and here I will name as document.html. Document structure. Okay, so first thing, let's create the clone of this one. So not exactly this one, but yeah, we will create basic structure for this MDN. Firstly, we have the header, so we will write header tag. Okay, inside header we have MDN logo, so here we can add logo. So for logo, I'm simply adding an image, and that image could be any image, so I'm just adding Google logo. So here I can write dot slash assets slash images slash logo.wp, and in the alt I write logo, and here I will set the width to 30 pixel. I want to keep it short, and let me rerun this with live server. So yeah, we have a small document structure logo, and we have the header now. So our header is complete. Now what we want is that when we okay, we want now these links. So reference guide plus curriculum. So that is done through nav tag. Inside nav we should put all our links. This is because this special tag gives search engine signals that this is going to contain our navigation bar links. And here we can place UL and li tags. Inside li you can add your links. So I'm not going to add any link here, just the basic text. Let's say references. Then we have guides, and one more which is plus. So this is not going to structure your web page, because you at the end you need to apply your own CSS, but this just gives details to the search engine that this is what type of content it has. Okay, we have covered the header part. Now after header we can have the main content, and this in this case main content is the entire center area. So this includes sidebar and this content as well as this sidebar. After main we can have our footer tag, because this is located at the bottom. This entire footer can contain footer links, any important links to be placed in footer, and this should be always at the bottom of the page. Now in main, if you see main, we in our main we have three things. One is this sidebar, one is the article, and finally we have this sidebar. So for this sidebar we can use a side tag, and here we keep our left min items just like this UL tag. You can simply copy paste. Now after aside we have article tag. This article is used to write the entire article, and after this article we can use another aside, because at the end we have another side menu. So that has okay, so this one is the right menu items. So in most websites we only keep one sidebars and not the two sidebars. Now what about this article? If you see this here in the article, we are using one h1 tag, so let's keep the h1 tag here in the article itself. Now inside article you can create multiple sections. For example, this is our introduction, so let's keep the introduction tag, introduction in a p tag here. Now after this introduction we are having another section, and this is going to be a different section, because here you can see we have key resources, so that section can have its own h2. And you should note that in entire page there should be only one h1. This is very good for SEO. And after that we can create hierarchy. So in this one I will simply paste this p tag, and there you can create multiple sections. It's not necessarily limited sections you create. So I will simply write more contents. So I hope you got the idea. Here we have seen, firstly we have used header. which is used for the header of the page. Then we have the main. This includes the main content, and main includes a side, both the sidebars as well as the center article. Then on the bottom side we have a footer, so that is placed after the main footer, and here you can place all your important links like about, blog, carrier, etc. Now in main, if you open it, we have three tags. One is the aside, which is for left sidebar meaning. Then we have the article, which is used for the center article. And finally we have the right menu using aside again. So aside means sidebar. And in this article, if you open, we have an h1 tag, then some p tags, and after that we have another section. So an article can contain multiple sections. For example, this could be another section of beginners tutorial. Then this could be another section. For each section, you can create your own section tags. And these are the basic tags which provides the document structure. After that, we have two more, which is the div and the span. So this doesn't mean any special meaning to search engines. This is just for the CSS. Div is the block level element, whereas the span is the inline element, which means div takes the entire line, whereas the span takes only as much space as it needs and not the entire line. So after p tag, we also use div many times if we need to create content in its own separate line. Okay, so that was about the document structure. Okay, we have covered main, article, section, aside, nav, footer, header, div, and a span. Now let's look at HTML forms. In order to create forms, firstly we need to use the form tag, and that I'm going to create in a different HTML file. So I will write in h1 HTML forms, and in order to create forms, firstly we need to create a form tag, and you can simply ignore the accents. So all the form elements are written inside the form tag only. Okay, after that we have input. That is the first thing we need to learn whenever you start HTML forms. Input is one of the most important element. So when we save this one and when we run this one with live server, then you can see we have a box, and here we can write anything like name or anything. So that is used to input anything from the keyboard. Now we can also add a property called placeholder. Let's say enter your name, and when whatever you set in the placeholder, that will be reflected here. So it will give a hint that what we need to enter here. Okay, so that was about the input. Then we have the label. Many times it requires that we need to write something, some words to reflect this input, so that we can do it using the label tag. And in label I can add the text like enter your name. Now if I cut this entire thing and paste it inside the label, then you may need to notice that we are getting the text enter your name, and I click on the thing and here I can write the name. But the major advantage of label is that when we click on the label, it will again click the same input, because this entire input is now written inside the label itself. So that is very useful when we create, this label is very useful when we create checkboxes or radio buttons, because there we want to click on this text and we want the checkbox to be selected or radio buttons to be selected. We will see this later. Okay, so we have covered the label, and we have, for label we can add for attribute also. Suppose this label we want outside of input tag, so for that we can use the for attribute. Let's say my input, this is I'm giving the ID for that label, let's say my age, and here I write a new input for placeholder enter age. Now since this input is not inside this label, so both of these will not be connected. If I click on my age, you will notice this is not selecting. This is because we need to connect this label for this input. So here I need to give the ID, and that ID should match the label for attribute value. So for attribute value is my inputs. Here also I need to write let's say my age and my hyphen age, and here also I will update my age. Now both 4 and ID are same, so here we can see that now it's connected. If I click on my age, now these are connected. So these are the two ways of using label. One is outside of the input and one is keeping it inside the label. And I will recommend this approach because it don't require to set up ID or for this, because this is more complicated. So we have covered label and for attribute as well. Then we have buttons. Button, as the name suggests, is used to create a button. For example, I can simply write a button tag and there I can say click me. So button is mostly used along with JavaScript. Currently it is refreshing the page because it is submitting us the data, and when this button is written outside of the form tag, then it won't submit it. Now this button is written outside the form tag. You can see form tag is here and button is written outside. So this time it won't submit it and it won't do anything. Or we can add our custom JavaScript here. For example, on click, we want to show alert, hello world. Now whenever we click on this button, then this JavaScript code will be executed. So this is not in our syllabus right now because we are not going to cover JavaScript, but just understand that this is a part of JavaScript. Okay, so we have covered the button. Now let's cover the text area. In div, I am going to create a text area because text area is an inline element. Okay, so you can see it provided lots of attributes. We don't need name and ID for now. This is just required later when you need to manipulate this using JavaScript. So what this do is that you can see we have a text area and here we can write multi-line codes, multi-line text. So this is the main difference between the input and the text area. Text area we can write multiple lines, whereas in input we can write only one line code, one line of text. And we can also resize the text area using this. We can simply click and drag and this will be resizable. Here also we can add placeholder. Let's say enter your address and this will be shown as a hint. And this row determines the number of rows. For example, 1 2 3 4 5. Now if I say 3 row, then you can see we can write 3 row at a time and 3 will be visible, but you can write more rows but only 3 will be visible at a time, although you can adjust this. And same for the calls. So calls is the number of characters you can put in a single line. If I set it to let's say 10, then you will notice our calls get small. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. And after if I write anything, okay, wait, 1 2 3 4 5 6 9 0. Okay, so by default it will be adjusted to the 10 characters, but it's not always necessary. That by default it tried to adjust with 10 characters, but different letters can have different widths, so it's not necessarily always be 10. Okay, if we want we can increase the width. So this is 30 now and we can increase it even more. This is 50. So this is all about text area. So here we cover rows and calls. Now let's discuss select and option. So select tag is used to create a dropdown. We don't need name and ID for now. In select we create multiple option tag, and in option we create value as well as the label. Value is written in the value attribute, let's say a, and here we can write any option, let's say mango, and in value let's keep it small. Then we can change this value in different options. Now for every option you can see this will be a drop down option, and this all are created inside the select tag. If I click on this one, you can see we can select any of the option. So this is the purpose of select. And also, if you notice this, by default on first, when we refresh this page or the page is first loaded, initially mango is selected. This is because mango is located at the first. But if we want apple to be selected first, then we can simply add selected attribute here. So if I write selected, then this option will be selected by default. So initially if I refresh this page, you will see apple is selected now, even if mango is at first. This is because we have added selected attribute, and that is a boolean attribute. Boolean attribute means that we don't need to provide any value, just like this placeholder. Here we are writing the attribute name and attribute value, but in this case here we are just writing the attribute name and we don't need to write its value because that's a boolean attribute. So whenever you write the name only, then it will be considered as true. So that is why it's selected. Okay, now there is one more variation of select, and which is multiple. So we can write multiple select. Let me copy this one, and if I add multiple in the select, this is also a boolean attribute. So here I can select multiple attributes now by clicking the control key, and if I hold the control key and click on the options, we can select multiple attributes from this list. So this is what multiple select looks like, and we have covered options, value, and selected. Now there are a lot more things still not covered in the HTML forms, and that we can't cover it here. Now we will going to see HTML form inputs, because you have seen HTML form input tag. So we have different variations of input. For example, this input, this is the normal input, placeholder text. So this is just the normal input where we can write simple text. We have another variation of input which is number. Okay, so if I just copy this line, and in the type if I say number, then this will behave differently. Now in this placeholder let me write number also, so that it won't confuse us. Now here, even if I try ABCD on the keyboard, it will not work. I can only write numbers, and I can also increase the numbers and decrease the numbers using these keys located at the end of the input. So that's the purpose of the input tag. Input tag is used to create text inputs as well as the number inputs. Now there are many other variations of input tags. Let me just first add any extra spaces at the end of this file so that we can scroll the top. Okay, so we have covered the text input, number input. Now we will going to cover the password input. If I set text to password and placeholder the same password, so here even if you write anything you can see it, because this is used for password inputs whenever it is used on login form as well as registration form. Okay, we have covered the password, text, number. Now let's see email. So email, you won't find any differences here. It will work as the normal input, but it behaves differently when it is opened in mobile devices, because in mobile we have virtual keyboards, and those keyboards provide special keys for @ symbol or any special treatments for email related inputs. So this is one advantage of using email, although you can use text also in those cases, but the keyboard will be better in case if you write type equals email. Okay, so these four are covered. Let's create a checkbox. So checkbox is used to add any option. So in a label I am going to create a checkbox. So here input, I simply write type as checkbox, and here we need to add any option. For example, are you married? So if I click on this, I can check it or uncheck it. This is the checkbox. Now just like checkbox, we have another type of thing called radio buttons, and I am creating it in a div. So for radio buttons you need to write radio, and let's create it for gender, for example for male and for female. Now you can see we have one for male and one for female, but there is one problem. Okay, we have created both in same level, we need to create it in different levels. Now so just copy it, paste it. So if I click on this male, we can see male is selected. If I click on this female, female is also selected, but there is one mistake here. If you can see, both these options are selected. This is not the main purpose of radio buttons. Radio buttons are there so that you can select only one option from the list of options. So in this case we have two options, male or female, and we want only one should be selected from these two. So for that we need a common name for both these inputs. So we set name as gender, and this same name should also exist here. Then only it will be considered as a group. Otherwise it will be considered as separate radio buttons. Now it is in group, so only one can be selected. If I click on male, male is selected, and if I click on female, only this one is selected and other one is deselected. So the difference between checkbox and a radio button is that in radio buttons we can select only one option, whereas checkbox are used to serve multiple options at a time. Okay, so we have covered checkbox and radio as well. Now these four inputs, date, datetime, local. So let's first cover this date. Input type date and placeholder. Actually it doesn't require placeholder. So in this date input, if we click, we can write date here, or we can also select the date from this icon. If I click on this icon here, I can select any date from any different year, and that date will be selected. Just like this date, we have another input called date time local. So this date time local, in this one you can select the date as well as you can select the time, and that is the thing which date time locals do. So it is just for date, whereas this can cover date and time both. Okay, we have covered date and date time local as well. Now two more are remaining. Actually there are a lot more remaining, so I have not covered all these things. This is just the quarter of all the topics which we have in form input types. Now let's cover the file input. So file input is used to pick a file. Input type file. Now here you can see we have a choose file. Let me write this in a separate br tag. Yeah, now it's looking good. So here I have added type equals file, and you can see that we are given a button. If we are given a button, and if I click on this one, then I can pick a file from my local folder. So let me just pick this nature.jpg, and it is showing nature.jpg. Similarly, we have input file multiple, and here we can pick multiple files this time. If I click on this one, using the control key I can select multiple images, and it is showing 3 files. So yeah, that is the purpose of files. Okay, and finally the range input. So input type, just put range, and you can see we have the range. We can set min max in this range. So what will be the minimum value, what will be the maximum value? Generally 1 and 10 is the minimum and maximum, and you can also set the value. Currently you can see it is currently set to 50%. We can set its value, let's say 20, and it will be set to 20. So you can use different variations of input, and actually there are lot and lots more input types. So that I have covered all the topics, even this form. I have covered 3 such form chapters in my course, and this is so big that it took, I think, more than an hour. And even in this form inputs, so we have 3 form chapters and 1 form input chapters, and this is just about, I think, 25 to 30% of the entire thing which I have covered here. In this course you will get all the 100%. Okay, now we have covered HTML forms, and let's see HTML head. So for head I'm going to create a different file, HTML head. So firstly we will see the link tag and 2 applications and the title. Actually title you already know, we don't need to cover it once again. This title is used to set the title of a page. As you can see, this title is showing here as the form, but if I run this page and here the title is head, so in this case you can see our tab title is head on top. If I bookmark it, it will be saved as the same name as the title, which is head. So let me remove the bookmark. Okay, so HTML head we have already seen, HTML title we have already seen. In this video, in this one, we will see all the tags which are present in the head, and we will specially focus on the head section of the HTML and not the body section. So first is the link tag. Link tag is used to add CSS and icons, and it has 3 to 4 more applications, but these ones are the common. So I am just creating a new CSS file, let's say style.css, and here I will write p tag with color blue, just a simple CSS. This will create all the p tag as blue color. Now we need to import this style.css into this file. So here I will write link colon CSS and hit tab. Then Emmet will do its work and it will write all the things. So by default our file name is style.css, which is fine because our file name was also style.css. Otherwise we need to change this one href value. And if we see, currently we don't have any p tag, but let's add a simple p tag with lorem ipsum, and you can see this is blue. So this is how link tag is used to import the CSS file. Now we have one Google logo in the images folder. Let's add this icon on the tab icon. So for example, you can see this Visual Studio Code. There is one icon at the top. This icon, Visual Studio Code icon, just like this ambient icon. Here we have ambient icon. Now in this tab we don't have any icon, just a simple globe icon. So we can change this one using the link tag. Let's write another link tag in the head, and this time you write colon icon or maybe colon fav icon. So you will already get whatever things are required, and type everything is fine. You don't need to hamper or change these things, just need to change the href because we don't have fav icon.icon file. Instead we have to use logo.webp. So what I will write, dot slash, then assets folder, then images folder, then we have logo.webp. And if I save this one, you can see our head has now Google icon on the top. And even if I bookmark it, you can see here, here our head has now Google icon. So this icon is used as a bookmark as well as the tab icon. So these are the 2 applications of link tag. Again, I have not covered all the things, all the features of link here, but in my course you will get all the features of link. Title I have already covered, so we are done with this head tag. Let's go for meta tags. So for meta, I am going to use the same file as the head.html, and here we write different applications of meta. So first is the redirect. So for this one, this is used when we want to redirect our web page to a different page. So let's write meta and colon redirect. So that option, if I click on this one, then we have a URL which is example.com. So this means our page will be immediately refreshed to this uh, example.com and it will be redirected in 0 seconds. Here you can adjust the time in seconds. Let's say in 5 seconds this should point to example.com, but let's say it should point to google.com. Now if I open the page, countdown has already started. In 5 seconds it should go to google.com. Yeah, that is working. So this is how we redirect a page. Many times it requires that this page is not useful to us, so that we just want to redirect to different website. So you don't need to write complex JavaScript codes. You can simply write one meta tag that will do its work. And if you want to redirect immediately, you can put the content as 0. This will redirect your web page immediately. Okay, I will just comment it for now. Next we have the theme color. Now theme color is used to set the theme color of the page, and this theme color is reflected when you open this web page in mobile version of Google Chrome, and there all your tabs color will be the same theme color. So let's say name. In name we have to write theme as color, and in the content you need to write the exact color code. So color code we can ask from Google. Let's say HTML color code picker, and we can go to any page and let's say this color. So this color I will copy and paste here. Now this color you can't see here because this, okay, let me rerun this one first. So you won't find this color anywhere in the PC mode, but when you open the same page in mobile screen, then in Google Chrome tab you will see that the tab color has changed to this entire color. So this is useful not just for Chrome but for other mobile browsers also, because different mobile browsers show this theme color differently. They have their own way of different showing theme color. So yeah, that is very good if you set the theme color. That will make any extra reputation for your site. Then keywords, this is used to set whatever keywords you want uh, to be search engine sensitive. For example, if I set name, in name we write keywords, and you can put all the important keywords in your content. For example, head, HTML, then learn, then web development. So these keywords will be searched by search engines and they will look for these keywords. Like if any user search for these keywords for, let's say, learn, then there is a high chance that your web page will be served with this. Although in modern age search engines have actually stopped using keywords and look more for the descriptions in the content and not on the keywords, but many search engines may use it. So yeah. Okay, then we have description and author. So this description is used when it is shown on the search engine results. In name we can write description, and in the content we can write let's say any random lorem. So this is looking very ugly. Okay. For now, just writing hypertext markup language. Okay, so the benefit of using this description is that when you search anything on Google, let's say sports car, then you can see we are getting multiple website names here, but this description is coming from the meta tag where they have set the description. So this is the description which the people will ultimately want to see, and this is done through this meta tag. Okay, then we have covered description and author. In some cases author is also required, so for that we can simply put author in the name, and in the content you write the author name. In my case I am the author, so I will write my name. Okay, so most of the cases we have covered already, but there are 5 to 6 more applications of meta tag that I have not covered yet. Okay, then we have multimedia, and as the name suggests, multimedia is used to embed any multimedia content. This includes audio and video into your HTML page. So for that I am going to create a different file named as multimedia.html. Multimedia, and in the h1 also I will write multimedia. Okay, so firstly we need to cover the audio tag, and as the name suggests, it is used to add any audio into your web page. This could be any music. In the assets folder I have already added one audio folder, and there we have multiple audios, so let's add any one of these. So we have audio tag, and you can see we have already src attribute. In the src we write the source of the audio, so that is tune.mp3. So we can write dot slash assets slash audio slash tune.mp3, and inside this audio tag you can write your browser don't support audio, please change it. So this content is the fallback content, meaning that it will only be shown when your browser doesn't support audio. And if I save this one, you will not going to find anything. So here we don't see anything because we have not added controls here. If I write controls, then we can see we have an audio tag, and if I click on it, it will play the music. Okay, so yeah, that was all you need to know about audio for now. There are lots of things which I have not covered here because it will again take too much time. Okay, so just like audio, we have one video tag, and there we are going to cover few more things. So this is used to embed video into your web page. As the name suggests, we will write video, and in src we write the source of a video. So I have added few videos here. Let's write one video.mp4. So we can write dot slash assets slash video.mp4, and in this one we can write fallback content like your browser don't support video, please change it. Okay, so if I save this one, our video is very large, that is why you can't see it here. So let's adjust the width and height. Width will be 500 pixel and height will be adjusted accordingly. So yeah, but we can't see any play button and nothing. This is because we have not added controls here. So controls attribute adds this controls. If I play this one, so you will not going to hear, maybe, I'm not sure, but uh, yeah, it is playing fine. And one more thing, there is one problem with this video. We don't have any poster yet. So initially we can set the video poster also. So for poster I'm going to use this image as the poster. So I will write dot slash assets slash video slash poster dot jpg, and this will add the poster. Even if I refresh this page, you can see we have the poster of this video now. So there are lots of features in video also. You can add multiple videos just in case if one of this is not supported. This is the same case for audio. You can add multiple audios using source tag, and you can also add captions and subtitles to the video. So these are very advanced topic, and this will cover a lot more time. I have not covered those things because, as you already know, I am just promoting my course. Okay, but in my course you will find all these things. Okay, so we have covered the audio and video tags. So basically we have covered multimedia. Now let's look at HTML embedding. And embedding mostly means embedding some extra contents into your web page. For this one, I am going to create a different page, embedding.html. HTML embedding, and here also I will write HTML embedding. Okay, so now what we will do, here we will going to use object tag. This object is just like the video tag. Here we can, instead of src, we use the data attribute, and it works the same just like the video. In fact, we can add video also in the data. We can write let's say dot slash assets slash video dot mp4, and in the type we have to provide the MIME type. Okay, wait, let me write this. Type requires MIME type of the file. In this case we have video dot mp4, so MIME type for video mp4 is video slash mp4. Okay, if you want you can google it. For example, just in case, if you want how to do it, you can search for what is the MIME type of mp4, and here you will see that this is video slash mp4. Okay, so in the object tag also you can add fallback. So your browser is too old, this feature is not supported. Okay, so here let me run this file. So we can see we have one video and this will play fine. But if you set video using the object tab, then you can set poster and other fallback file size for files. For object, for setting video, object is not a very good idea. Object is generally not used for adding video, but we can do that. So what are the other applications of object? One application is to embed PDF into your web page. So in the data, this time we will going to add this PDF which I have added in the assets folder, PDF folder, and there is sample.pdf. So let's add this one, dot slash assets slash pdf slash sample.pdf, and in the type you need to write PDF MIME type, and for that let's again google it. It's application slash PDF. What is the MIME type of PDF? And there, what is the MIME type of PDF? For PDF you can see this is application slash PDF. Here it is showing, so we can write application slash PDF. Now it should work fine, and here we can see we can see this PDF file. So let's zoom it. We can set the width and height here. PDF not supported. This will be shown when object is not supported in the browser. So here I'm going to set width 1000, and it's too much. 800 is fine. And we also need to set height here. Let's say height is 500 pixels. So we can read the entire PDF into this page. So this is how we integrate PDF into HTML page. Okay, this is done through object tag. Then we have iframes. This is also one of the most important thing to have in your HTML. Iframe is used to embed the content of other page into your own page. If I write iframe, and there we are already getting src. In the src you can simply add the page. For example, let's say it example.com. This web page we want to add, okay, in the iframe. So in here we will simply write http://example.com, and if we see our web page has the example domain, this is working fine. Let's increase the width 2000 pixel, and we also need to set increase the height, let's say 500. So now you can see we have the entire page content added in our own page. Okay, and let's add, actually let's remove this frame border so that it will have border also. Our width is too much. So this is the content of the example.com website. Let me reduce it even more. Okay, so you have to note that you can't just write any web page and expect it to work. For example, Google will not work here because many websites has the security issues, so they have implemented their own security so that their pages can't be added in the iframe, because this will ultimately uh, impact their business revenue. So that is why they have added some security. So not every website added this security. For example.com is one. This is in fact was built to create to use for example demos. Okay, so we have covered iframes, but there are other applications of iframes as well. So one is the embedding YouTube video. Let's add one YouTube video, and this is the song Middle of the Night. Let's copy this. Okay, we want to embed this YouTube video in our web page. So for that we can click on this menu, not here. We can click on this share button. Yeah, here. Click on this share button and click on embed. There you will get iframe link. Just copy it and let's paste it here. Now this iframe tag is used to add YouTube video in your web page. Let's run this one. So yeah, you can see our YouTube video is implemented in this page, but it's not working. This is because of the YouTube security. It is running locally, that is why it's not working. But there is a fix for that. If you change this IP address to localhost, that will work. So that you can see it's working fine, and it is even working on full screen as well. Okay, so this iframe is used to add YouTube video. Okay, now there are other applications of iframe. Let's go to Google and let me search for any random locations. Okay, so suppose this map we want to add into our HTML page. So this is very easy. You simply click on this menu option and click on this share or embed map. And if you do it, you will get a send a link, but we don't want the link. Instead, we will click on embed a map and it will provide you iframe code. So you can simply copy this button and paste it into your HTML page. So that will create an iframe of Google Map itself, and you can scroll it, you can zoom it. Okay, so we have covered how to add website, how to add map, how to add YouTube videos. There are other applications of iframe as well, like you can also add other games. HTML games are there. There are some HTML games which you can embed using iframes into your web page. So this actually will take some time. So that I have covered in the course. You can see. Okay, now we are left with the final topic, which is the global attributes. This is one of the advanced topic which very few people know. So let's start with the global attributes. So for this one, I will create a different page. Global attributes.html. Okay, and here I will create them. So let's start each of these. So we have to cover these much topics here. Now autofocus is used to automatic focus. Let's, if I write input tag and there I write autofocus, then what will happen here is that if I, let me rerun it. So you can see even if I refresh this page, this input is selected by default. Even let me rerun it and I click outside and refresh this page, so this is selected automatically. This is because of this autofocus. And firstly, you need to understand what is global attribute means. Global attributes are the attributes which are supported on all the tags. Okay, so it's not just input, we can add it to p tag or any tag. So yeah, if but there should be only one autofocus tag attribute in the entire page. So if you have two, let's say two form elements, then if you write autofocus here and here two places, then only one of them will going to be have autofocus. So let's remove autofocus from input, and this time you can see it is the text area which is selected by default. If I refresh this page, again text area is selected. Okay, so we have covered autofocus. Now let's see class and id. So class and id are used to for css styling, and you will learn more about this when you use css, but for now you can understand the basic. This is a p tag. Here I can set class as test or just para, and similarly I can add one another div tag with id as container. Now what we want is that using the styles we can set the css. For this para class I can set its color to red, and for this div tag, which is the id container, so id always starts with hash and class always starts with dot. And for this container I am setting its border to 5 pixels solid red, and here I will also add padding to 50 pixel. So you can see we have a p tag and we have a div tag. P tag is of red color and div tag has a border and some extra padding. So this is done through class and id. Now class and id are global attributes, meaning it's not just p tag or the div tag which we can use into. We can use it to any other tags which you see in HTML. So this is why it's called global attributes. So class and id are especially made for CSS, and id you have already seen it is also used for section linking. Next we will see content editable. Content editable is also a global attribute which can convert any tag into input. For this p tag, if you try to click it's not editable. But if I add content editable, then this p tag is now become an input, and here I can add more things. So you can change the content anytime, and it's not just the p tag, you can add it to any tags. So this is what we have covered, the p tag. Okay, content editable. Next we have hidden. If I add hidden attribute to any tag, it will just be hidden. So that is one a new way of hiding things. You can simply put hidden attribute, and using JavaScript also you can manipulate this attribute. You can put this attribute, you can remove this attribute to hide or unhide an element. Now spell check is used to set spelling check. Mostly it is used for input. So let's say if I write random words, you can see we are getting grammatical errors here or the spelling mistake errors and the red lines. So for that we can disable the spell check. If on the same input I write spell check equals false, note that we have to write true or false. This is not a boolean attribute. So this time if I write random weird words, it will not going to show me any grammar errors because I have disabled this spell check using spell check equals false. So we have true value and a false value for a spell check. True means it will be on, and by default it's on, so you don't need to worry by setting true. Just it is useful when we need to set it to false. Okay, style attribute is used to set the styles, but inline styles, because there is different way of adding CSS. For this p tag, let's say I am Rituraj. what we want to make this text bold, but we can do so using the our style tag in CSS, or we can do inline style as well using a style attribute. This is a global attribute, meaning that it will be available on all the tags. So here I write font weight column bold, and this is a CSS, so you don't need to worry. When you learn CSS, you will learn these things as well. So if you see, this is now a bold. So this style attribute is a global, which is supported on all the tags. Now title is also one global attribute. If I set title to name, and if I hover over it, then you will see a name is showing. So that is the only purpose of title. On hovering, it shows that text. Okay, we are left with one more, which is translate. Now let me write one language here. Let's say Google Translate. So let's copy this text and paste it here, and we want it in French. Now we will copy this one and put it into our p tag. Okay, so what will happen if okay, let me move this paragraph to up. Now you can see this is showing in French, okay, but if I right click on it and click on translate to English, that you can see it's translated to English. This is working fine, but in some cases you don't want this translation to happen. This is because it may happen you have a company name which you don't want to translate, or you have any name of a building or a place which you don't want to translate. So in those cases you can disable the translation using this translate attribute. Translate, here you write either no or yes. Basically yes is set by default, so we never set yes. We either set no or we don't use it at all. So in this case we don't want the translation to happen, so that is why we have written translate equals no. And if I refresh this page first, and let's try to translate to English again. If I click on this option, then even after translation you will see that this is not translated. This is because of this attribute. If I remove this one and save this, and let's translate again, this time it's translated, and if I put it again, it will not translate. Yes, it's not. Okay, wait, I have not saved it. Okay, so I have added translate, and if I refresh this page, so this is not translated. So that's the benefit of using translation in some cases when you don't want your company name or anything to be translated. So in those cases it can be useful. So yeah, these are all you need to know about the global attributes. Actually there are even more than that, but generally those are not useful. But yeah, this is about 40% of this entire global attributes which I have covered in my Udemy course. So again, one more thing, I have covered lots of topics. It's about 7 hours of HTML course, and you will learn a very in-depth of HTML5 if you pick my course. So I will request you to, yeah, join my course, and thank you for watching this entire course.